Hello, beloved soul seekers, Youest you listeners. I'm so honored you're here, and I think you are going to get so much from this conversation. I'm really excited about today's guest, and I want to tell you all about Kari Romeo, who is just an extraordinary woman. And we are going to get into a whole conversation about really how to shift perspective from fear right now, guiding through that to being able to experience more joy, and a whole lot more. So happy you're here. Kari Romeo is a holistic life coach, motivational speaker, personal transformation and mindset seminar facilitator, and women's retreat leader in the Idaho area. Her life and travels have taken her through many careers, including working as an Air Force officer and management of a retail store. She's done property management and restaurant work. I think it's also important to note that Kari is a decorated veteran of 3 military conflicts and has lived in Europe and Central America for many years. She has also served as a human resources manager, change agent, and a lot more. Kari's passion is helping clients find and heal personal fears and limiting beliefs in order to reach their highest potential and live more joyful and fulfilling lives. We're going to be talking about this. She shares her passion through speaking, writing, and coaching. She has a 2017 TEDx Coeur d'Alene talk called Teach Your Inner Critic, A New Story, has over 40,000 views to date. That's amazing. Her book, Becoming Beautiful, A Personal Journey Towards Happiness, explores her path to setting herself free. Her newest book is Uniquely You, Finding Your Truth in a World That Prefers You to Conform. This pocket guide offers readers strategies to discovering their truth in the areas of words, beliefs, relationships, appearance, and employment. It is such an honor to have you, Kari. I also want to note, and we'll have this in the show notes, that you can also find out more about Kari at her website, conquerlifecoaching.com. And without any further waiting, I want to bring you on to just say thank you, first of all, for your service. Thank you for the service you're doing now. And thank you for being here today.
I am very excited to be here. I have to correct you. I'm sorry, but my name is actually pronounced Kari.
Kari, I'm getting it wrong the whole time.
It's okay. Most people
Kari.
do. It's
Yeah,
not a big
all right.
deal.
Kari,
I
like that better. It's beautiful.
I am super delighted to be here. And it's just such an honor to be with other people who are all about uplifting our world right now. And it's a lot of women out there who are waking up and saying, let's do something to make our world better. And to be a part of that is an honor and a pleasure and a joy.
So amazing. No. And all right, Kari, I got it. I can't believe that for so long. Kari and I met, goodness, 4 years ago, I think. 4 years ago through the Miracle Morning community and the Quantum Leap Mastermind community. And I remember I was like, there is a light in you and a passion and I love you have these like gorgeous tattoos and you just hold yourself with this. I mean, these amazing, if you're watching, you'll see them. I mean, they're really stunning, like very special. And I remember thinking, this woman has a lot of wisdom and a lot of light to share. I remember feeling that immediately with you. Can you share a little bit about your journey? I mean, I know you were in the military, like you're doing different things now. Maybe a little bit of have you gone through your own fears? How have you moved past them? I mean, I've got to think there's got to be something that you're teaching that you've moved through yourself. So maybe you can tell us about that.
So I have been very blessed. And I just want to say to those who are wondering, Julie and I did meet 4 years ago, but we actually rarely had time in all these great organizations we were in to connect much. It was more a passing smile, love you. So it's sort of funny that we're using a podcast to get to know each other again. My journey has really taken me all over the place. I was very fortunate that I've experienced many things in my life. I grew up in a typical dysfunctional family where I felt pretty invisible most of my life. And my superpower is that I feel the fear and I do it anyway. And so I just plowed through life. And most people thought I was very successful. And in reality, I was, but I didn't enjoy life.
Mm.
I didn't enjoy it because I had limiting beliefs. I didn't think I was enough. I had a poor self-image. And that's not a great way to live. Um, I started in about 2006 to, I guess, question my reality. Rather interestingly, I had some friends, I was in Europe at the time, and I had some friends who were going to England to the crop circles, and I went with them, and I was blown away
Ooh, we got to come
by,
back to crop circles. I want to talk about that in a moment.
okay.
Making a note.
So um, I discovered pendulums there, and I discovered a lot of things there. And what I discovered was that I know this much about my world. And so I started searching and studying. And I knew I was meant to be a healer in some way. I just didn't know what that was going to look like. It was actually in about 2016 that I discovered Hal Elrod's Miracle Morning, and I went to the Best Year Ever blueprint. That really I began to solidify my journey. And through that practice, I also started letting go of some fears. I became aware of them. And I slowly but surely taught myself to love myself. And once I did that, it was like everything else just became easier. Now I had some bumps in the road for sure, definite bumps in the road. But at the end of the day, I've really discovered that my whole life has been one big giant experience that I can now share and help people who are on the same trajectory to love themselves, to find their joy, to be something in this world other than miserable. And so here I am, and I'm excited to be a part of it. I mean, it's just thrilling.
Amazing, amazing. A question for you, because you were being in the military, did you find fear come up there at all, just with being in that world, or not as much?
So I retired from the military in 1998. A lot of things have changed since then.
I
But
see.
back then, I was frequently the only woman in meetings. I was frequently the only woman on deployments. I was frequently the only woman.
Wow.
And as an officer, I had to find a way to make my point without somebody calling me bitchy or difficult or whatnot. And so I took on a very masculine personality.
Yeah.
And people tell me still to this day that I'm a little on the intimidating side. And I don't mean to be, but I'm used to marching forward with life with confidence because that's how I had to be.
Yeah.
That's how I had to be. And really the last few years have been an exercise in finding my femininity again.
Yeah. Well, what's
And
interesting,
yeah,
oh, go ahead. Yeah, you were
I was
finding.
just going to say, this is the longest my hair's ever been. And I'm so digging having hair.
Oh, that's so great. Right. It probably was very short then. And
Yeah.
you
I
know,
kept it very short.
it's interesting because you talked about confidence, but it sounds like the self-love piece was missing. So you might have felt confident, but not that connection to your heart or to your, loving yourself. That's what I picked up. Was that it feels like they were almost separate things. And maybe you could share how did you learn to love yourself? I think this is a big one for especially many women. Big, big one.
I will say this, I marched forward with confidence, but that didn't mean I actually had confidence. Like I
I
said, my superpower was to do it anyway. Feel the fear, do it anyway.
yeah.
Um, there were many things that I didn't do, opportunities that I turned down because I was afraid. I was afraid I wouldn't be enough. I was afraid. And yet I've succeeded at most everything I've ever tried, but I had this background fear going.
Yeah.
So how I learned to love myself, literally, a lot of it was through Louise Hay's work of affirmations, mirror work. I started looking at myself in the mirror every day and saying, hello, gorgeous. Because when I was a kid, I don't know, do you ever remember those t-shirts that had a hand like this and it said, I'm with stupid?
No, I don't remember that, but that sounds
They're still available, which is tragic. They even have them in pregnancy versions, which is really tragic.
yeah.
I had the one that pointed up.
Mm, mm,
And my mom used to try to throw it away. And I said, oh, that's my favorite t-shirt. It's so funny. But it wasn't funny.
right.
So I started looking at myself in the mirror and saying, hello, gorgeous. And then I decided to pick a body part and find deep gratitude for it. So I chose my eyes. And then I started thinking, well, my eyes are pretty, but my skin's nice too. I've got good Norwegian skin. And the more I began every day to appreciate my body, then I began to also appreciate my spirit and my soul. And it grew into understanding
Yeah.
that when you love yourself, you become so much more, you get the capacity to love others so much more deeply.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so that's been a big transformation for me.
Mm, beautiful. Yeah, I think I've shared this here before. I grew up with her in my ear. My mom, who was in a support group early on, we'd hear tapes. I had her books, like I just always, all the time. I like literally, she felt like my grandmother. I started
Mm.
listening to her when I was about 10 or 11. And I'd always thought I was going to meet her. And it's funny, I've interviewed many people that have known her, and I bring her essence in. I said, I remember when she passed away, actually, I don't know if you were with me. We were at one of our mastermind events. I was coming back from Cleveland, and I just thought, that mirror work, that essence, I'm gonna bring that in. And it's so beautiful to hear, and it's so practical that you actually started to heal that relationship with yourself by doing that. So powerful.
I still use an affirmation that she has. It's a little bit long. It's about that long, but I say it every morning and I say it out loud. I
Yeah.
say
What
it to
is
the
it?
universe.
Kari, can you share it?
All right, you ready?
We're ready.
It's actually I have a lap board where I do my miracle morning and my journaling, and it's laminated on that. So I know it by heart, but just in case I lose it, I've got it here.
Nice.
Um, In the infinity of life, where I am, all is perfect, whole, and complete. I live in harmony and balance with everyone I know. Deep at the center of my being, there's an infinite well of love, and I now allow that love to flow to the surface. It fills my heart, my mind, my body, my consciousness, my very being, and radiates out from me in all directions and returns to be multiplied. The more love I use and give, the more I have to give, for the supply is endless. The use of love makes me feel good. It is an expression of my inner joy. I love myself, therefore I behave and think in a loving way to all people, for I know, for I only attract loving people into my world because they are a mirror of what I am. I love myself, therefore I forgive and totally release the past and all past experiences, and I am free. I love myself, therefore I live totally in the now, experiencing each moment as good, and knowing that my future is bright and joyous and secure, for I'm a child of the universe, and the universe lovingly takes care of me now and forevermore. All is well in my world, and so it is.
So it is. Wow. All right, you guys, Kari didn't know she was going to be reading that today. You got to send me a copy of that, Kari. That's amazing. That is so
Yeah, that
beautiful.
that is taken from her book, I believe.
That you can heal your life,
Yeah, I
or
think it's from
yeah,
her Heal Your Life, and it's actually way longer. I took pieces of it that applied to me, I thought.
yeah, yeah.
And I've been reading that out loud for probably about 4 years. And
Wow.
as you know, when you put that energy out into the universe, that's what you start getting back in.
Oh yeah,
And I really don't run into very many gnarly people anymore.
yeah. Oh, I believe it.
But
Yeah.
when I do, you know, it's really interesting. I was on a Zoom call a couple weeks ago, and we got hacked, and it was with porn and
Yeah.
angry words. I swear to God, my heart hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I actually did some deep healing work with that, because it hurt to have that attack on my spirit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, so mm,
Well, I am with you. It happened to one of my sessions that I led, and I know exactly what you feel. I was like, it's just, it comes from anger, it comes from
yeah,
not being nice. It's the energy. I mean, it's the
yeah,
energy behind it. That is beautiful. I love that. And this is the thing. It's like, you said it earlier, when you start to feel that for yourself, it just emanates. You can't help but and to have more love for others. You have the deeper capacity, and it just sounds like that has been so healing for you. So healing.
deeply, yeah.
Amazing. I'm going to do like a quick, I feel like we're going to take a detour for a minute because I can't pass over the crop circle experience. Okay, those who've been listening long enough, like I have this like deep curiosity, like many of us, to just understand as much as possible how this universe works and all of the other galaxies, dimensions, whatever you want to call it. So when you said that, my ears popped up like we got to just at least talk for a minute about, some of what maybe even for you, that experience and what spiritual tools you lean on. Because I know you have I can feel it, a very deep spiritual connection. If you're comfortable with that, Kari, I'm putting you on the spot.
Absolutely. So the crop circles, for those of you who have never experienced crop circles, wherever they come from, it really does not matter. They are beautiful and they speak to us. You can see all sorts, there's wonderful websites. My favorite is cropcircleconnector.com or temporarytemples.co.uk. Both of those have lots of photographs going back years and years. And crop circles have been around. The earliest known crop circle was from, I think it's like 1666 or something. There's some drawings of things, and they thought they were from the devil back then. So there was all this stuff about these devil marks in the wheat. They show up in a variety of different places. They show up in wheat, in corn, in rapeseed, and they will leave a signature there. So sometimes the following year, you can go back to a field that has been completely plowed and mowed under, and you can still see the form of the crop circle. They are believed to be vibrational, and you can definitely feel the vibration of them when you go in. A lot of people believe that they will amplify whatever energy you're bringing into it. And I believe that to be true, because I went into one, it was really funny. It was very earth-based. Everybody who went in laid down at some point in time. Everybody. I went into one where everybody was laughing. I mean, it was just like joyful laughter. And I've been to others where you just walk out weeping. I've been to some that dogs won't go into, and others that the animals seem to be all into. They definitely have an energy. They're stunningly beautiful, stunningly beautiful. I love them. This tattoo right there, that, I don't know if you can see it, but it's a Metatron's cube, which is the 5 Platonic solids. This was a crop circle about 3 years ago in Wiltshire, England.
Oh, that looks like, so it looks like a big,
no, this was the actual form of the crop circle.
Wow. It's like a lotus flower. I'm trying to describe it with like a 5-star or 1 to 6-point star, right? The Metatron in the middle. Well, and if you look at it on YouTube, you can see it because this will be posted there as well. Wow. So I've seen them. For those who are new to it, this is like impeccable designs. That's another one.
That's one too. That was from like 2007.
Oh my gosh. Just these beautiful.
They just spoke to me.
And they're like pristine, like your head can't get around it because there are these designs that are perfectly etched into the fields.
The thing that's really interesting about them, there are some that are man-made. There are people who go out and they make them and they use lasers and do all sorts of wonderful things. But there's a big difference between them, and you can see the difference and you can feel the difference. But some of them have, I was in one particular that had sort of a solar system going on, and the lines for some of the orbits were about 2 stalks wide. So in order to even make that, you destroy the wheat. So it had to be something that came down or something that came up to create it. Because there's no way that you can make that thin of a thing. Sometimes they will be in knots woven together. Sometimes there's little tufts and they're tied together. My favorite one, I went in, there was layers. I got to get up here to computers, but there was different layers of the wheat. And the wheat was woven like you would see a woven basket. And on one layer, it was woven in one direction, but on the next layer, it was in the opposite direction.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
I mean, they're extraordinary.
And these are thought to be made, first of all, usually in the middle of the night, like instantaneously. I mean, obviously from, what is the we'll move on in a minute. I'm like, everyone's like, what's a crop circle? Who makes them? What's your understanding of where they come from?
So the researchers who have done on this will tell you that nobody knows, period, flat out.
Yeah.
And they don't always just happen at night. There is one that's called a Youest that was outside of Stonehenge. And there was a ultralight pilot who was taking somebody to fly over Stonehenge, and he got over, and they went over Stonehenge a few times. Then he had to go back and get gas. And he came back about a half an hour later, and there was an extraordinary crop formation in the wheat. And it was huge. It was called the Youest. They are frequently next to sacred sites or in alignment with sacred sites. So there's something that's called ley lines, which are energy lines on the planet. And if you look at like the major churches in Europe, they're all on what's known as the Mary line. And these formations show up near these sacred sites. Most of the researchers believe that they are vibrational, and they believe they're anchoring frequencies to help us in the change in the energetic shifts on the planet.
Beautiful. Wow, Kari, thank you. Thank you for and you gave some great sites. They're just, I've seen them, from a distance, and they're breathtaking. They're breathtaking.
If you ever get the opportunity to go into them, Julie, you'll be blown away.
Oh, it's maybe the first thing on my list after we're able to really travel again. I think, although it's not necessarily the most strategic or important travel to make, it might be just for fun to do it. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. That is so cool. So you, just going back to, you were talking before about confidence, or, doing it anyhow with the fear, and then really shifting to this place of, it sounds like coming kind of home to yourself, finding that love within yourself. What shifted, to go from, the military traveling to like what you're doing now, how has that evolution happened? And maybe tell us a little bit about that first.
I do have to say that some of this journey has not been, it's been very frustrating along the way, because I felt like I should be doing something. And for a long time, I felt like I was throwing spaghetti noodles at the wall, just trying to find something that would stick. Yeah. When I lived in Europe for many years, I'd been married, my husband and I separated, and I came back to the States, and I was convinced I was going to create a healing center, and I was going to do Reiki and different types of healing modalities. And that didn't work. And so I went into this and I went into that, and I kept saying, what is going on? God, you've given me, or spirit or source, you've given me this huge desire to be of service to other people. So show me how to do it and make a living. I still got to pay my bills. Right. And I sort of went through Quantum Leap Mastermind. And do you remember we talked in one of our posts about slowing down?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I was trying to make things happen. I really was trying to make. I love what asthma talks about, fire and flow. Sometimes you need the fire, but sometimes you need the flow. Mm-hmm. And I was all fire.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And I was missing flow.
Yeah.
And I got very, very frustrated because I just couldn't seem to find my path in anything. And it was actually in Cuyahoga National Park. For those who don't know, part of our retreat, we spend a weekend listening to speakers, and we get motivated. And we were invited out to this beautiful park called Cuyahoga National Park. And we were taken to this lovely amphitheater, natural amphitheater. Right. And this was our instruction, was to, while music was playing and we were in this gorgeous place, was to get out our books. And now was the time to write our next steps. What are we going to do next? Where are we going to go next? And I got my book out, and 49 other people around me started scribbling. And I heard, probably louder than any message I've ever heard, put your book down. Mm-hmm. And I looked around, and I picked my pen up, and it just came again, put your book down. And so I did, and I started looking around in this beautiful amphitheater, and I realized a couple things. The amphitheater was created by a giant boulder that was broken. And that break caused all sorts of little pathways. and time allowed moss to grow and ferns, and birds brought seeds and trees grew. And this incredible beauty was created because something broke and time was allowed to pass.
Mm.
And I realized I needed to stop trying to force things to happen,
Yeah.
and I needed to allow things to happen. And that was a major shift for me, major.
Mm.
What it involved more than anything was letting go of what my contribution to the world would do, who was going to see it. My job wasn't to determine who needed it. My job was to put it out there.
Mm.
And then trust that the universe would take care of me
Yeah.
if I was doing my part. And once I let go of the need to have to make money with everything that I put out there,
Yeah.
I started just putting it out, and opportunities came in that gave me the money I needed.
Mm.
It just was that simple.
Wow. This story, I love the metaphor and the reality to it. When you put the book down and you saw, you really got that this boulder that had broken, it, to me, it's like, how many of us, I can't imagine a person listening who's not had a moment of feeling broken or some trauma. It does not matter what the trauma is. It could be, you were told you weren't smart enough in fourth grade, whatever it is, someone didn't like you. What does it matter? Trauma is, right, that feeling of brokenness, I think. But to really get present to the beautiful paths and the fact that we could sit there happened because of that boulder breaking. And what I'm also hearing is this going from the pushing and wanting to make things happen to really a surrender and allowing, which, just I think is really powerful. And in actually being of service, and to hear that you did, then the resources came after you let that go. I feel like that's something that's what most of us, if not all of us, are learning to do here. Some have it more than others, but we're all learning how to really trust that, inner wisdom, that source energy, whatever you call it, the universe, higher self. And it sounds like that was where your breaking through started to happen as well.
I'm also finding that if I am focused on being of service and then also creating relationships, then little opportunities are showing up that are just like, where'd that come from? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So it's fun. It's like when you pull a card and it's the perfect card and you go, we just simply can't make this up. This is just happening, people. And if you get into that flow, it's exciting and it's joyful and it's silly. There's laughter. It's wonderful.
I love it, Kari. I'm curious how, we talked in the beginning, just reading about what you've done and your focus on helping people, guiding them through fear and shifting their perspective. How is this way of being, how has this helped you to do that? How do you help other human beings move through fear and change how they're looking at the world? What are some, I think especially right now, it's really helpful to have some of these bits of wisdom and the ways that that have worked for you. Maybe share some of those.
So I think the biggest thing, and I know this is something that really resonates with you, the biggest thing in my world is to stay in a place of deep gratitude for everything.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. Because every time we can embrace the abundance that's around us, whether it be our ability to have a meal or a warm blanket to sleep under or a beautiful flower in our garden, or a tough lesson that helps us evolve and become, if we can stay in a place of gratitude, thank you for that, then everything just becomes a little bit smoother.
Yeah.
When I work with people, I call myself a holistic life coach. And it took me a while to come up with that name. I was like, what do I really do? I've been blessed with a little bit of wisdom from a lifetime, I guess. But what I really, really try to do is I help people to make minor shifts of perspective. Today, the blog that I wrote, that I put on Facebook, was about anticipation. And I used the metaphor of rhododendron bush that was just starting to bloom. I work at a nursery part-time. And so every week on Thursday, I go to work and I haven't been there for 4 days. And it's just the anticipation of what's blooming, what's new, what's come out of dormancy is so exciting to me. Well, here we are going through this COVID-19 thing, and we're all on self-isolation, and we're all wondering what the heck is going to happen next. Many people are anticipating post quarantine, if you will, or self-isolation with fear. You know, what's my job going to be? What's my economic status going to be? What's our politics going to be? And my point is that we have a choice in our anticipation. We can choose to anticipate what wonders and new opportunities and new relationships are coming out of this. We have a choice to choose how we're viewing our world. And it's a practice. It's not always easy to walk away from fear and decide to look for abundance instead. It's a practice.
Yeah.
And you got to do it every day.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Also, when you fail, and it happens, I had, the other day, I got cranky and I was just cranky all day, but I allowed myself to be cranky. I just said, okay, no judgment. I'm just having a cranky day. Yeah. And when I got done with my cranky day, I just said, okay, I'm ready to move back into gratitude and joy now.
Love it. Yeah, I love it. Well, I love what you just said. This is the big one that I see is that when we let's say not in a space of gratitude, right? We get into judgment, which is really ego, fear. Mm-hmm. To not judge it is the key that you just said. You said, I decided I'm not going to judge it. And that allowed you to kind of be in it and then move past it versus I think when we do judge it, then we get in this, I've seen it for me. I can get a horrible feedback loop of judgment and it's not good. It doesn't feel good. And it's not how I want to, be connected to the world in my life. So I love that you said that even when you felt cranky and frustrated, you gave yourself some space and didn't judge it.
I think it's really important to note too, that when we get into a place of self-love and into a place of looking through the world through the lenses of gratitude, and love and peace and service, it makes it easier for us to deal with people who are not in that place. Now, yes. I live in North Idaho. We are very, very conservative, and people carry guns and do all sorts of weird things. Lots of very conservative. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wear a button. You probably can't see it, but it says love everyone. And when I leave my house, I always wear this. And most people say, oh, that's really cool. Good idea. And I'm like, yeah, it's a really good idea. But every so often I run into somebody. I ran into an old man the other day and he started laughing. He goes, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen. And I said, why is it funny? And he goes, you can't expect me to love everybody. There are so many bad people in this world. Why, look at the Democrats. Okay, it's Idaho.
Right.
And I said, well, you don't have to agree with everybody, but we are called to love everybody. And he was like, that is so silly. And he wandered off.
Oh my gosh. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I think, the just to have that as your kind of guiding North Star. I that's definitely something for me. I think about every day is try to be loving to everyone. And I think that's where compassion and empathy play a big role. It's sure. Like you said, the more you love yourself. Look, once you really start to love and honor who you are, you know how hard that was. It's like, there are many people who don't know how to do that yet. So how can we not give them some grace? Like everyone's doing the best they can do is really one way to look at it, at least.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
We're all on our own journeys. And it is interesting though, just to see, I think this particular time on our planet is an amazing time. We are in such a fortunate time to be alive because there's a huge pendulum swing happening right now.
Yeah.
And the polarity between fear and love is huge. Yeah. And so as people are waking up to their self-love, to their heart center, the heart math, all as they're waking up to that, they're creating a light. Now the fear is gonna fight against that light. So I think in the next few years, we'll probably see this.
Yeah.
And we have to stay in a place of grace and just allow people's journey.
Mm,
You know, they're either going to bounce against our light and bounce off, or they're going to say, teach me.
mm-hmm.
And our place right now is to be available to teach.
I love that, Kari. This is just beautiful to talk to you. And I love your just the passion and zest you have to be of service, and to wear that button every day says a lot. And I think I just kind of taking in what you said about the pendulum, kind of what you said before too, that we have a choice how we want to view the world. It's like, are we going to choose love, or are we going to choose fear? And if we have fear, how do we be compassionate so that we can come back to love?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Before we wrap, I am curious if there's any other wisdom or anything else you'd like to share. I always like to ask this because usually I feel like there's oh, we forgot to address this, or there's just something on your heart. Yeah. I call them heart flares. Like there's a heart flare that we've not heard from yet from you. So is there any heart flare that's still there for you that you want to share?
I just really hope that people will begin to open their eyes to possibilities. We really do live in a world of infinite possibilities, and it just is minor shifts. It's small shifts. We the old idioms of the glass is half full, the glass is half empty. I say start with just treasuring the fact that you have a glass in the first place.
Mm,
And it is small shifts. And when we make these small shifts, they have huge effects in our relationships and in how we interact with the world and what we're attracting in the world. And
mhm.
I just really encourage everybody to make small shifts. You don't have to change the world today.
Mm,
Just change your perspective
yeah,
just a little bit.
it's awesome.
Keep your
Beautiful.
eyes open. Trust.
Yeah.
Play.
I think we all need more play. I think we all need, I'll speak for myself, that faith, that trust, that play. And I love what you have never heard that before, but really it's like shifting from, is the glass half full or empty, to be grateful for the glass. It's fantastic.
I think it's I just think this is a really fun time. And I am really intrigued to see how we come out of this post-COVID, because I think an awful lot of people have discovered they don't want to work 60 or 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
They've also discovered that they like their families and they enjoy playing in their garden. I think there's going to be some shifts, and businesses are going to have to step up to the plate and say, okay, I love what Warren Buffett said. If you can't get it done in 40 hours, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
So well said. So well said. Well, I just thank you for being such this beacon of light, from just taking all, I just keep getting you like harvesting all of your experiences, deciding that you're, even the times where you felt fear, you didn't feel confident, you kept on, but you really clearly have done so much inner work and so much connection to yourself, and now can be here as that healer, that holistic coach, but also somebody, as a light in the world. And I mean, we need as many light bringers as possible. And
absolutely.
yeah, I'm so grateful to have you here today, Kari. It's been really, really cool. And thank you for the crop circle info. That was pretty cool too.
Yeah, I'll send you a message and give you some sites to go look at, and some very interesting things. I have to repay the compliment right back to you. Watching your podcasts over the years, it's been very fun to watch you shift from almost a tentative space to this joyful, heart-centered, spiritual, whatever. And it's just been a joy to watch. It's really been a joy to watch.
Well, thank you so, so much. That means a lot to me. I love doing this so much. I mean, part of the gift is meeting amazing, amazing luminaries, leaders, just incredible people, human beings that are up to spreading light. And thank you. I appreciate that.
Nice, nice.